G'day, welcome to another episode of Frothy Friday. I'm currently on the final day of a juice cleanse, so that's a pretty fun one. Probably not something that I would definitely select myself, but my partner Jackie was super keen to do it and she'd already done one and got some value out of it, so I thought, bugger it, get onto it. It's pretty good. It's not bad. It's not my favourite, but most cleanses or fasts or anything where you put yourself out of your regular routines tend to be uncomfortable, because that's the whole point. Because when we get comfortable with discomfort, then when the real shit hits the fan, we have better coping mechanisms, both physiologically and mentally and maybe spiritually, all that kind of good stuff. Speaking of radness and froth, I went into a primary school for the first time ever, really, since I was at primary school. Besides when I go to pick Jackie up sometimes, because she's a primary school teacher, if you didn't guess that. And was in there with the wonderful technology that I do some work for, called Positive Prime. And it was pretty phenomenal to go in and actually sit with kids. We were actually there to show the teachers the technology, essentially the technology. I'll explain positive priming first. So what we're doing most of the time is, if we're being effective humans, is we're priming ourselves so we can be the most effective human for our tasks. So matching your state, mindset, all that kind of stuff, physiological again, to the task at hand. For example, you would probably prefer in the morning to do some movement or have a nutritious meal or listen to some rad music that gets you fired up and ready for your day at work, whatever that is. Or for any challenge. It doesn't have to be your day at work. And so, I hope that wasn't a pube. It's super inappropriate, right? Need some sustenance. This one's called Courage, so there we go. Hopefully it gives me some courage. So yeah, positive priming, this is a beautiful concept. Peak performance coaches talk about it a lot. But this technology in particular is an audio-visual technology. It's more of an experience, right? It's not a video. And it flashes up a stack of different images that are all positively geared, affirmations, and also has music that goes with it. All to get you frothing. That's probably why I'm involved in it, you know? Froth attracts froth. And the teachers at the school, a few of them have been using it really effectively. And so we went in to share it with the rest of the teachers. And it was really awesome just to hear their stories. It's quite a lower socioeconomic school. And some of the kids really struggle there. I saw that firsthand, and so do the teachers. And I guess when you think about our teachers are the ones who are bringing up the next generations of us. And if they're cooked, if they're not positively priming, then what's the energy that they're going to take into the classroom? And they're doing the best they can. You know, some of them have bloody 30 kids. Like, holy crap. I haven't even got one kid, but, you know, just from what I hear from my friends who've got kids, they can be quite a handful. Imagine 30 of them. And then imagine them not being positively primed in their mornings, because a lot of these kids don't get fed before they come to school. They're coming from sort of broken homes. And it actually like kind of was really eye-opening. It took me back to my days in primary school and some of the kids who may be a bit rougher, or made me really grateful for my upbringing, but it also brought into focus, because I was hearing some of the stories, what these kids go through. And so that's why I'm really passionate about this technology. When I first started using it, this was really the first, besides the story, the founder, who had 6 cardiac arrests and almost passed away. And the technology really brought her back to life. And so what I found is that that's kind of a really perfect metaphor. It allows people to be brought back to life, because if you look at priming on one side, positive priming, we're priming all the time, right? So most of the time, given the stuff that we consume, both food and digitally, and the ecosystems that we put ourselves in, are negative priming. So if we sit in a concrete box all day and we don't eat well, and if we go on YouTube and just let it have its way with us, or Facebook or Instagram or even fucking TikTok, that's just been filtering into my life, which I really dislike, like friends sending me stuff on it. Even though it was quite enjoyable, the stuff I watched, I've heard it's like crack for the brain. And so I've purposely not downloaded it or really want to associate myself with it at all. However, never say never. So that would, in my opinion, would be negative priming, right? So that's negativity. And so what we're doing is priming our consciousness for negativity and priming our subconsciousness, our subconscious to look for negativity, which means that we're just fucking in a flood of negativity. And that's why, you know, if you're bitching about someone, it's probably because you've been watching TV about people bitching about someone, and yeah, maybe you're hanging out with bitches. I actually had this thing which was an interesting kind of diagnostic for yourself a while back. And that is that if you don't think you're a dickhead, right? But if your boss is a dickhead and their boss is a dickhead and the senior people at your company are dickheads, then you are on the path to becoming a dickhead. I haven't got any data to balance that up. To balance. That's another one of these. Maybe that's, you know, the brain's a bit all over the place this afternoon. However, there's an important point to make here. And so what happens with our technology is that the images move in a certain way and they're randomized. And so when you're on this engine, this positive priming engine, it actually doesn't give your brain, your prefrontal cortex, your conscious mind almost, the opportunity to say, I am not going to take on this positive information. It's just going to bypass it, boop, straight in there, do some magic out there, and then filter into your everyday life, which is cool, which is kind of a little bit scary as well, because it's like, okay, well, am I in control? And then the bigger question is, are you ever in control? And what I would say is that using this technology is actually, you are in control, because you can edit the slides. You can put in what you want in there. You can tell your brain what to do, rather than letting, you know, your algorithms do the talking, which just, if you're clicking on and reading negativity, we all fucking know it. It just spits more of it out at us. So it's a really great opportunity to positively prime your mind for the day. And also, within the ecosystem of us using digital so much, like, I do not advocate for us to use more digital, but we have to, because, you know, I write, I design, I cut videos together, I do stuff like that. And so I'm on my digital all the time. So how can we prime for a positive experience on our digital? And obviously we can do that by going out in nature, probably the best thing that we can do. However, at times when we find ourselves getting sucked into a vortex, you might not have the ease of being able to go outside. You might not have the ease of able to go outside when you're in lockdown, for example. And so I think this technology is needed. I think the people's stories that are coming through, I think the teachers, when we're in the teachers really lit up. Some of them have been using it for a while now. Some of them are just kind of on the on-ramp. The kids, we went and sat with the kids, and this is fucking awesome, right? We're sitting with the kids, and I've never been really called Mr. Wellington, but that was fun. I was called Mr. Wellington. And the founder, Kim, she was Miss Serafini. And yeah, so basically the teacher, Barry, she was saying, letting the kids ask questions. So she introduced us, and they were like, hey, and so, like, you know, 5-6-year-old kids. And they asked really cool questions. And one of the questions was sort of, how do you make positive prime? How do you build it, from this little kid? And Kim was lovely and sort of just said, you know, thanks to people like Benny or Mr. Wellington and people like Barry, because, you know, Barry's an angel. And all the kids were like, oh, this is their teacher, right? They see every day. And they were like, yeah, you're an angel, you're an angel. And I was just like, yes, like, that's awesome. Like, that's the thing that, you know, gets drummed out of us, you know, that when someone's called an angel, because we all are angels in some way, shape or form. And the work that Barry's doing for the school is angel-like, you know. Many of us have kids, and she's sort of I'm not going to say fighting the good fight, but I can't think of a better metaphor, but, you know, like a more positive one rather than fighting, for these kids who have it tough, and creates an environment for them to believe in angels, creates an environment for them to play, creates an environment we watch positive prime session with them. And so they count all the smiles. They count the smiles in every morning. Imagine if you fucking went around counting smiles. I reckon actually it would be quite hard to count smiles. I dare you to go and have a look at your Facebook feed and see how many smiles there are. Maybe you follow lots of smiley Instagram influencers who have to smile to sell their stuff. But hey, I'm not going to bag that, because that's awesome. Because what we need is more smiles. And so, yeah, these kids, even if they're having a tough time, they can see angels and they can see people smiling. And so, yeah, we're actually running a support a teacher program, because a lot of teachers have to dip into their own pockets to get extra technologies and extra things for their kids, which some of them do, but then some of them just aren't in that position. So yeah, we've got a little campaign coming out. So if you're listening to this, that's awesome. And if you want to support a teacher, or if you know a teacher, or if you are a teacher who needs support, give us a yarn. Give us a yarn. Yeah, this is about time to chug off with my orange fruity drink and bid you farewell. I had something else rad to talk about, but maybe that'll just have to wait till next time. Anyway, it's interesting when you notice that your brain and your talking goes offline slightly, and it's usually because you need to have a break. Having said that, I've been having some of the best sleeps of my life the last 2 nights through the cleanse, and so I think what's that telling me? Eating too close to bedtime, sitting up on your laptop too late, because I didn't do it, because I was just like, I'm cleansing, so I need to, well, I'm not eating, but I just don't really feel like I have the energy to sit up till a little bit later, and I'm just going to listen to a podcast and jam out. I've also been listening to, is it called Diary of a Yogi? Yeah, before bed. So maybe that's got something to do with it. So these are all ways to prime yourself before you go to sleep, positively prime yourself into dreaming. And I've been getting stacks of deep sleep and then quite a bit of REM as well. So I've been having some interesting dreams. Yeah, anyway, Frothy Friday. I hope that was of some value. I hope you are froth priming, because that is really just positive priming. And yeah, if you have any questions about anything I've mentioned, feel free to send me a DM. That's what I was trying to say. Or send me an email, benny@101tokens.com. Much love.